Okay, we're on to question 4 in Jess Barlow's set of questions. And this question is, as technology has become more advanced, has your role as a journalist or your computing skills had to adapt in any way? Yes, a very big yes. My role as a journalist has become very much one of knowing how to use certain online tools. Um, um, you know, when the Chinese earthquake happened, knowing where to go to find that information, knowing how to translate Chinese information into English. Um, all of these things were really important as in terms of news gathering. I think another key thing has been learning how to filter all of that information so that you ensure that you see the most important stuff. Um, Also, I think my role as a journalist has changed from one of, it's really more a social role now, and I think that's really key. To focus so much on the technology can be misleading, because as a result, or if you like, partly through that technology, we've been able to develop different relations with people, we've been able to organise better. So that's one of the reasons I've made the online journalism blog a group blog, is because I think as a network we're more powerful in terms of what we can achieve. We've got a combination of skills and experiences and knowledge and contacts that we can tap into. The way that the Facebook group for the blog taps into what we do as well is really interesting. So that's really changed my role as a journalist. And I find myself being a conduit as much as a seeker of information. You know, the agenda is not necessarily set by me, and that's really important. So yes, I've had to adapt enormously as a journalist, and in terms of computing skills. Also in terms of publishing, you know, all the kind of nuts and bolts things of CSS and PHP and WordPress plugins, all of those have become important. Question 5. Do I feel it necessary to keep up with changes in technology, and how do such changes affect my working methods? Obviously, you know, my job as a blogger and as a freelance journalist is to know what's happening technologically. So professionally in that sense, and as a lecturer, I need to know what's going on. How do they affect my working methods? Well, I try a lot of different things. You know, I'm recording this on video, which I wouldn't have even thought of doing 6 months ago, but I'm finding that an interesting way to vary my working method. I'm finding that a quicker way to respond to things like this, like lists of questions. And also it's a different way of communicating, and I'm interested in developing that skill. So yes, I do feel it necessary to keep up with changes in technology. Question 6. Do I feel challenged by audience interaction through comment, through blogging and social networking sites? No. I feel empowered by it and enthused, because, you know, someone's listening, first of all, and someone perhaps feels that I can help them, and there's that kind of social support network. Journalism traditionally can be quite a solitary job, and now, if you know how to do it, it's quite the opposite. Journalism should be a very, very social job in terms of seeking support and help and tips and so on. Now, journalists are social creatures, but the actual act of journalism can be quite solitary. So now that isn't the case. The act of journalism is a dialogue, and so that's not challenging at all. It's quite refreshing. Question 7. How significant is citizen journalism in today's news climate, and what do you make of the growth of online reporting by the general public? I don't think citizen journalism is very significant in today's news climate. I think culturally, news news organisations are still actually quite resistant to citizen journalism. It is mostly treated as tokenistic, and it's shunted into a ghetto, a kind of "and finally" slot on a TV news, or send us your emails, send us your texts, visit the website. So I don't think it's very significant, and it's treated differently depending on whether it's send us your pictures or whether it's someone has, this amazing shot of this amazing event. It's treated very differently. What do I make of the growth of online reporting by the general public? I think it's much needed. I think what we're seeing is a blurring, I've said this before, a blurring of the difference between publishing and conversation, and that leads to a number of mistakes. People see, for example, people talk about blogs as if it is publishing, but it's actually conversation, people talking to each other, having open diaries and things like that, most of the time. So when you talk about reporting by the general public, that's not really what is happening. Mostly it is them talking about what is happening to them, to their social network. And that's always happened, really. It's just that it's more visible and it's easier to do. It's easier for me to talk to 500 people on Twitter that I would otherwise not be able to get in touch with. So what do I make of it? I think it's brilliant. I think it's made things visible. As I said, it's made people be able to connect more easily. It's made people less isolated. It's given people access to information that they wouldn't previously have had. The fact that you could read what someone in Iraq was experiencing during the Iraq War was incredibly important. It wasn't just what the media decided you could have access to. It was, you could access these people quite easily if you knew where to look. So I think it's a refreshing complement to traditional editorial judgments. So I'll stop with that one.